Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's please have a moment of silence. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Dickey,
Here.
Vice Mayor Magazine,
Here.
Councilmember McMahon, Councilmember Charno,
Here.
Councilmember Friedel,
Present.
Councilmember Spellich,
Present.
and Councilmember Grzybowski.
Present. Thank you. We're lonely here, you guys. We have all these great kids here. Let's get started, as usual, with our reports from the town manager, council, and mayor. Grady?
Thank you, Mayor. Very briefly, I just wanted to report on that the town staff and the mayor hosted the Leadership Academy's first session with the town. It was the Know Your Town Day, and it was here in this room, and we had roughly 16 members of that group meet with the town staff, and the town staff did great presentations, giving them a really good overview of the organization and their specific functions within their department. So I thought it went really well, and it's a really great activity for members of the community to get involved and learn a lot more about the community and about the town of Fountain Hills. That's all I have, Mayor.
Good evening, everybody, and I'm going to second what Grady just said. I'm fortunate enough to be in the Leadership Academy, and I did attend that meeting you spoke about, and it was really great. It was really, really great to see, to learn about what everybody does in detail, and I want to take a moment to thank you, Grady, and all of the town and department directors and your staff for supporting the council and doing such an outstanding job in our community. It's really made a difference, so thank you, guys. Also, I attended the MAG Continuing Care Board meeting last week to learn more about the homelessness project. And MAG has a draft of steps that they're planning to take to mobilize the regional response to homelessness. And it sounds very promising, so it was really interesting to learn about that. In addition, we're planning the CARES Forum at the end of October, and we're finalizing the plans for that forum at our newly remodeled community center, which happens to be really beautiful. And we'll have a host of interesting speakers with an interactive educational forum on substance abuse, suicide, mental health, and homelessness. And we're really looking to having a great turnout from our community. And last week, we also hosted Ballet Arizona Under the Stars, and it was really a beautiful, fun evening, beautiful ballet. And I wanted to thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce the town and welcome everybody to the ballet performance. That was really a nice evening. So was Oktoberfest. And I also today attended the MAG Economic Council Committee meeting, and it was an interesting discussion to learn how the tourism is picking up in Arizona, and also with a presentation by the Indian Chamber of Commerce, and to learn about all of the indigenous businesses that they support throughout Arizona. So it was a really good conference call.
Thanks, Mayor. I attended to the first part of the Leadership Academy here, and thanks, Sharon, for hosting that and running that. That was very well done. And I also attended the community center ribbon cutting, and if you haven't been in there yet, it's fantastic. It turned out better than I thought it would. So very well done. And just a reminder that this is Domestic Violence Month, and we'll get into a little more detail on that when we go through the proclamation for that. But I have a meeting coming up later this week for the MAG Domestic Violence Council, and we'll be rolling out some new information on that as well. So thank you.
I guess I have to mention the Leadership Academy Day that we had here because everybody else has. I am part of the most recent graduating class of 2019. So that's how I got involved in helping to plan this year's class. Of course, it's been 2 years in the making, so we're really glad you guys are finally in it and started. What I always tell people, especially for that particular class, is you're never going to have all those people in the same room at the same time to be able to talk to and have answers or questions answered again in your life. So I try to remind them they should take advantage of that. I also attended, we had a Make a Difference Day planning meeting, so I'm going to use this as an opportunity to remind you guys that Make a Difference Day is coming up on October 23rd. You can register to volunteer on the town's website. And of course, I did yesterday's grand reopening for the community center as well. And I am so impressed. It's revitalized, it's relevant, it's current, the colors look great, and I'm super excited. The artwork really pops now with that new wall color. So if you guys haven't had a chance to go by and visit, you should go by this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Magazine, do you have anything?
No, I don't, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Charno?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I guess I was just following everybody around all week because I was at Oktoberfest as well. Was at the planning committee for Fountain Hills Cares, and I think there's going to be more information about that in the paper tomorrow. So we are hoping for a big turnout. Also was at the community center ribbon cutting. There was a ribbon cutting over at the library last week. The Friends of the Library Association, funded a study room over there. As you know, libraries have kind of changed over the years, and finding some quiet study space might be challenging these days. So they have a separate room you can reserve over there, and turned out really nice. Guardian Training and Consultants had a kind of a presentation last week at the chamber patio, and I was there on behalf of the council and Fountain Hills Drug Coalition. They did a presentation on opioid overdoses, what to look for, and how to give Narcan treatment if someone is overdosing. So it was very detailed, very educational. And finally, Valley Metro Board had a meeting last week, and two big things were just updates on job searches for a new CEO and a new CFO. So we have some big shoes to fill over at Valley Metro, but I'm sure the search will go well. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Wow, thanks. I didn't know about that. Councilman Spellich?
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I had regular MAG, regional council meeting, mayors, and we had that homelessness planning meeting with Grady. Oktoberfest, all the fun things that happened. I wanted to thank Bo Larson for the PowerPoint, for the presentation for leadership, and whoever at the community center was smart enough to give me a pair of real scissors because the big ones didn't work on the ribbon cutting. But it is a beautiful place. I also was able to go to the East Valley Partnership, which is an economic development partnership that we belong to, and they had a governor candidate forum in Gilbert last week, so I was able to go there. I wanted to mention that item 8F regarding discussion of noise ordinance is going to be postponed till probably the second meeting in November. So we will move on to our stellar students. I think I see some of them out here. This is our wonderful time where every month we get to recognize students that teachers and administrators and others recommended to be recognized. So I will read your name, and Angela's got your information, and then I'll come down and we can take a picture. So we're going to start with Mcdowell Mountain Elementary with Macy Bush. Macy Bush walks the Falcon Way every day. She's respectful and responsible when it comes to following rules and completing her work. She shows kindness to everyone. Thank you. Yes, you come up and you get your star, and then we'll do the picture. Next, also from Mcdowell, we have Ezekiel Coughlin. Ezekiel follows the Falcon Way every day. He's always responsible, respectful. You can find him playing with everyone in the playground and inviting others to play with him. He's a hard worker who completes his work with his best effort. Next, from the middle school, Lola Grace Monroe. Lola Grace demonstrates positive character traits every day. She's a dream to have in class, and she's willing to help others. Our team appreciates that she's ready to listen and learn each day, every day when she walks through the doors. Also from the middle school, Dylan Tobias. Dylan exhibits all of the character traits that we look for in a student. He's attentive and keeps up with his workload. You can count on him to follow our district values of respect, responsible, safe, and kind. Next, from the high school, we have Ariana Penzi. Ariana is a wonderful student and person. She always puts in 110% and is willing to help others whenever she can. She's one of my top students and could probably teach statistics and calculus. She knows the subject so well. She and her family are disappointed that they couldn't be here tonight, but they wanted to express their appreciation. And last but not least, we have Tyler Ludwig, also from the high school. Tyler exemplifies the PBIS qualities that represent the Falcon Way. He is also a National Merit Finalist and was nominated to be a Falcon Student Leader. Let's give all of these young people. So much for coming on this. Sneak right behind you and we'll get a picture for the paper. How's that? Is this good, Bob? Is in there? A little tighter. Tighter. Yay. Thank you, guys. Come back. Anytime. Next, okay. Okay, thank you. So next, we have two proclamations. The first one is proclaiming October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'm going to ask Councilman Friedel, as he mentioned earlier, because he is a member of the MAG, which is the Maricopa Association of Governments Regional Domestic Violence Council. I know they had a press conference that I was unable to watch, and he'll tell you a few things about it, and then he'll read the proclamation. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. It's my honor to be able to read this proclamation, and the town does take this seriously. In fact, we've got a program that we instituted with the full support of the town and the town council. So if we have anybody that has been a victim of domestic violence, we have a program in place to help them out with that. So I'll start the proclamation. Whereas home should be a place of warmth, unconditional love, tranquility, and security, and whereas for most of us, home and family can indeed be counted among our greatest blessings, and whereas tragically for many Americans, these blessings are tarnished by violence and fear, and whereas women, men, young children, and the elderly are all counted among victims of domestic violence, and whereas physical injury and deaths occur and emotional scars are often permanent, and whereas law enforcement officials, shelters, hotlines, services, health care providers, the clergy, and concerned citizens are helping in the effort to end domestic violence, and whereas we must recognize compassion and dedication of these volunteers and professionals and applaud their efforts and increase public understanding of this important problem, and whereas the Town Council approved Resolution 2013-44 on August 15, 2013, expressing support for the Start by Believing campaign through the End of Violence Against Women International Organization. Ginny Dickey, Mayor of the Town of Fountain Hills, Arizona, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And in addition to that, each weekend in the month of October, the town's fountain will be purple in color to help raise the awareness and remind people of that. And also the town hall will also be draped in purple as well. So again, I want to thank the town for their support in this effort and the help in raising the awareness. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I've said it before, but we are very lucky to have a very involved council, and we appreciate you serving on the MAG Domestic Violence Council on our behalf. Next, we have a proclamation of October as Fire Prevention Month. And I will read it, and if Dave is around, I will give him the certificate. I think I see him. Whereas the town of Fountain Hills is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Fountain Hills, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. Whereas smoke alarms sense smoke and prevent danger in the event of fire, allowing people to safely escape in as few as 2 minutes. And working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. And whereas residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sounds of the alarms and know how to respond. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and most likely to survive a fire. Residents will make sure their smoke and CO alarms meet the needs of all family members, including those with disabilities. Whereas Fountain Hills first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas our residents respond to public education measures and are better able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire. Whereas 2021 Fire Prevention Week theme, Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety, effectively serves to remind us that it's important to know the different sounds of smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. Therefore, I, Jenny Dickey, Mayor, proclaim October 2021 as Fire Prevention Month and urge all to learn the sounds of fire safety and support the many public safety activities and efforts of the town's fire and emergency services. And so I will present this to our chief, Dave Ott, and appreciate it that you're coming up. Dave knows that we appreciate everything that they do for us. Thank you, Dave, so much. Let's give him a hand. Thank you. Those two proclamations were serious, but it also shows that we're looking at it and there are ways to solve and make these things easier for everyone. So they were a little bit somber, but we'll move on now. And again, we're happy to have the children here. Next is scheduled public appearances. I think we don't have anything for that. Our call to the public, do we have any speaker cards? No speaker cards for call to the public. Our consent agenda, unless anybody would like to remove anything, I'll take a motion, please.
Motion to approve?
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Aye.
Our first regular agenda item is regarding a letter that we were asked to sign on to with Fort Mcdowell. Grady, would you like to
Sure.
start this?
Yeah, so just a bit of background. Every time we have a new census or mid-decennial census, we actually have redistricting under state law that is required. Under the redistricting, we have basically a independent commission, which consists of 2 commissioners that are Republican, 2 who are Democrat, and there's an independent chairperson that are involved in drawing up the boundary lines for these existing districts. The mayor was approached by Fort McDowell neighbor to our east about the possibility of signing on a letter. We share a lot of mutual interests with Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation on a variety of different legislative and policy matters, and so they're wanting to ensure that that we basically share and are mutually in the same boundaries legislatively. Could be that they may change our boundaries. We may not have the same people in the past, but I doubt that that's going to happen. But the bottom line is our congressional District 6 and Legislative District 23, we would like to have the council consider signing on to a letter that indicates to this commission when they're redrawing the boundary lines, that they take that into consideration, that both Fort McDowell and the town of Fountain Hills are in the same legislative and congressional districts. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, but that's pretty much what the matter is before you.
Thank you, Grady. Does anybody have any questions about this? Yes.
Grady, so that would remain the same as it always has then?
Yes, it is. It's just, you know, they're seeking input right now, public input on this process. And so they're just wanting to ensure that, that they have some say about that. And they brought it to our attention. And I think it's one of those things that it's a feel-good thing more than anything. I don't think that there's any nefarious acts or anything that is indicating that this won't happen.
Thank you. Someone on the phone?
I thought I had a question, but that answered it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any speaker cards? No? And again, this is, I know that there's been a little bit of upset about the lines, the way they're being drawn right now, but they're really just a first step. They're divided by population. And the way it looks right now, we wouldn't, just very preliminary. It wouldn't look like we were with Scottsdale, but I know that these things, this is just the first step. So, but with this, we're at least letting them know that Fort McDowell and Fountain Hills would like to remain together wherever we end up. So I don't anticipate a lot of changes. Grady?
I was just going to say, the good news here is that since the last time that there was redistricting, there's been very little population change, both with our community and with Fort McDowell. I think really, Scottsdale obviously has grown though. And so probably what it means is just the boundaries are going to look different from what they are now, but I would suspect that they're going to remain the same for our community.
Thank you. And in fact, they did have a census that kind of like us, where they were very surprised by, didn't grow as much as they expected. There's a lot of different dynamics happening this time. So, well, if there isn't any other questions or comments, aren't any, I'll take a motion.
Motion. I move to provide direction and input to the Arizona Independent Redistricting Commission that Fountain Hills and Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation are included in the same legislative and congressional districts following its completion of redistricting in Arizona.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. I know they'll appreciate it, and Grady, we can let them know that we took the action. Next, I see Justin here, so Grady?
Yes, just wanted to let the council know that the next several items are Justin, so he'll just remain up at the podium and he'll give a brief report on each of these items as they come along. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Weldy.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, council members, the first item we have up here is we are requesting permission to purchase new controllers for our traffic signals. We have 13 signalized intersections within the town of Fountain Hills. We continually, as a town staff under the direction of the town manager, upgrade our signals. And most of the components that are necessary are really below the threshold, considerably lower than the town manager's approval. These controllers right here, which have been on our radar for a considerable amount of time, have been a long time in the planning stages, and at this particular time, we actually have an opportunity to procure them through a cooperative purchasing agreement and negotiated prices, and based on that, this was the best time to make that investment in these controllers. It should be noted, in the event that this is approved, we will enter into an agreement. The new controllers will be shipped to us, and each intersection independently will receive a new one, and then we will have one spare as a backup. It should also be noted that the controllers that we have now, while they are 10 or 15 years old and some of them a little bit older, they are still valuable to other organizations that do not have the ability to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. The older equipment will be sold at public auction, and the past has shown us that we've received a good return on our investment for these traffic signal components. With that said, related to the controllers, if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them.
Any questions? Councilwoman?
Where in the budget is this coming from? The general street fund, HERF? Or is it, because I looked and I thought that I saw that there was like $50,000 in the traffic signal fund, but.
Madam Mayor, council member, the $50,000 that is shown as an itemized budget is for our on-call and call-out services, which we currently have contracted. This comes out of the street fund that we have, which includes our state shared funding and also some CIP funding and some general fund. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Do we have any speaker cards? No? Okay, anybody want to make a motion, please?
Excuse me, I'll move to approve the cooperative purchasing agreement 2021-054 with Econolite Control Products in the amount of $52,550.40.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Justin.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Now, next, stormwater. No, next, oh, yes, it is. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The next item is an amendment to an agreement that we've had in place for several years to help the town meet the federal and state mandates related to stormwater. Most recently, and attached to the staff report, we were selected to have an audit from ADEQ. With the support of town staff and this vendor, we were able to accomplish that audit and provide to them all the documentation. There was a minimal amount of minor corrections necessary. However, through that audit process, we were able to learn that there are several additional state and federal mandates that we will need to comply with in the future. This amendment has funding in it over the next several years to help us arrive at that goal, which is to remain compliant and provide a comprehensive storm drain management plan for the community.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Do we have any speaker cards? No?
I actually do have a quick kind of comment question. Is this the kind of thing that our environmental fund that we used to be able to collect for, that we've still not heard about, is this the kind of thing that we would have been able to use that money for?
Madam Mayor, council member, if I may, correct. So we currently are using the minimal amount of funding that's left in there, but originally, as the mandates began to grow, we did establish and use that fund for this purpose.
And we haven't actually, Grady is going to answer my question before I ask it.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say we haven't heard anything back about that from our state partners.
If you could just rephrase the question, I'm not sure I understood it.
The environmental fund fee that we used to charge, that we can't charge until we hear back from the Attorney General, I'm assuming we have not heard back from our state partners on that.
Mayor and council member, that's correct.
Okay, and that's what, like $500,000 a year?
Yes.
Yeah, probably like 6, yeah. Thank you.
Just one other point I just want to raise or just make, and that is, so the staff in the past had asked for a position that would be involved in this, like an environmental planner. I've been, reluctant to go down that path because it would cost considerably more to do that. And this firm is really, they're the experts on a lot of the ADEQ requirements, federal and EPA and ADEQ requirements. And so for $41,000, we really get a lot for our money on that. And then there's always somebody there to back them up. If someone that is assigned to us can't do the work, there's somebody else that will do it. Have to tell you, under Arizona law, the manager's feet is held to the fire on submittals of the DMR report, the annual report, and I just signed off on all these. I had to go electronically and do that last week. And our person who does the work, there's a lot of paperwork that's involved to be compliant. And I just have to tell you, this is just something, I don't think that it's a constant education to get somebody that would have to do the level of work that we have, and you always run the risk of being out of compliance. So this is a really good investment, and I think it's the model to go with for the size of our community. So with that, I recommend approval.
Thank you. Interesting, just yesterday, a report on DEQ was not very good on them keeping up with the things that they're supposed to be doing, but we're doing what we should do. Are there any other questions, or would someone like to make a motion?
Move to approve the First Amendment to Cooperative Purchasing Agreement 2018-093 with Wood Environment and Infrastructure, Inc. in the amount of $41,270.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, guys. Next, we're talking about security cameras.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The next item has been ongoing with support of the council and the town manager. And through capital projects, we have been able to install cameras at numerous locations, including Town Hall campus buildings and the Cotillo Plaza and the parks. With that said, the next phase of this is going to involve an upgrade to some of the cameras here within Town Hall and additional camera locations at Golden Eagle to help us address some vandalism that is taking place there. It should be noted that since the council approved this originally, the installation of these cameras has aided in the prosecution of the vandalism, and it's also provided a valuable tool for not only the campus hall staff, facilities primarily, and our IT person, Mike Chicarone, but parks, because they have an opportunity to view activities as they run live from the angle of the camera. And this is just a continuation of that, and we'll install additional cameras at Golden Eagle and again, replace some of the outdated cameras here in Town Hall. With that, if there are any questions, I will do my best to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes,
sir.
Mayor, it's Dave.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh,
When this initially was brought up, I had suggested to staff that we look into being able to have MCSO, maybe the shift supervisor or some person, have the ability to be able to look at that on their phone or on their mobile devices in their car to be able to see if anything is going on in the area. So does this have the capabilities of doing that?
Madam Mayor, council member, I do not have the expertise to answer that, but we will certainly research that and get an answer back to the question.
Okay. I think if we're going to spend this kind of money, and I'm completely for it, as you stated, it really aids in the prosecution of people doing things. But I also think that the ability for someone on MCSO during their shift to be able to look at that, it also keeps them on the road doing other things, but still the ability to look in real time to see if anything's going on so that they could immediately get over there. So I think that if it doesn't have the ability to do that, we need to definitely look into giving it the ability to do that.
We will look into this and get back to the council. It's my understanding that each of these cameras has a separate IP address, which would allow our IT administrator or MCSO to check out. But we'll verify that and we'll get back to Councilmember Spellich and the rest of the council. That's a good question.
Thank you, David.
Mayor?
Councilman? Oh, let's have Jerry and then you, Alan. Thanks.
We had some issues up at the Adero trailhead in the past. Is that trailhead on the list of getting a camera at some point?
Madam Mayor, council member, it certainly is, as is Desert Vista Park. You're welcome.
Vice Mayor?
I could see where the presence of cameras, if they're very visible, might stop certain individuals from doing things because they don't want to be on camera. But I guess my question is, if you see people on camera, what good is it? Do we have any way to track them? Have there been any arrests? Having a camera with no way to follow up, I kind of wonder the utility.
If you don't mind, I think we'll have Rachel Goodwin, who she and her staff recently assisted in some juveniles who were caught on camera, and I believe MCSO dealt with it. Do you want to just kind of give the example of recently what we dealt with?
Sure, happy to. Vice Mayor, thank you for the question. It is a good question because once we do have the evidence, we do have to identify who it is and, if it's a repeat offender and things like that. So it does give us some evidence, but we do have to be able to use it. And in the case of our community, we are relatively small. We do have a lot of resources in our town that can help do that. So we have been able to effectively identify a couple of juveniles who were repeatedly doing some damage in one of our restrooms at our parks. We were able to positively identify them, as well as talk with parents and approach them and actively pursue that situation. So it has panned out for us, and these are definitely a deterrent for us to keep our parks safe and intact, I guess.
Thank you, Rachel.
If I may, Mayor, if I could just follow up. Hello, am I on?
Yes, go ahead, Alan.
Rachel, are the cameras very visible? I know that I've seen some cameras with blinking red lights and so on. Are they visible to folks?
They are. They have high-vis locations, especially outside of our restrooms and on our buildings, and in other areas in our parks. We don't try to conceal them by any means. They are expected to be a deterrent. However, there are folks that just don't care. They still choose to do the damage. And I think sometimes they might think that they are false or somehow, just there as a deterrent, that they don't actually operate. And it's with Justin's help in this project, they definitely do operate, and they have served us well.
Terrific. Thank you.
I think worthy of noting is that the key is that it's recording. And that gives you the opportunity to go back, just like my home cameras, I go back and go to the visual of the person, and then I do a screenshot and I share it with whoever. That's what you guys are doing, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any speaker cards on this item? No? Well, and just because they're visible, there could be some that aren't, so.
Never know.
Be vigilant. If there aren't any other questions, could we get a motion, please?
Move to approve Amendment Number 1 to the Cooperative Purchasing Agreement 2021-052 with Climatech LLC for security cameras in the amount of $31,683.39.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you so much. And our last item is also about public safety. And Justin?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For this next item, I come to you with my proverbial hat in hand, and I ask that you refund a project that was funded in last year. There were certainly challenges related to all of our lives, including the capital projects. In this particular case, on behalf of capital projects, I appeared before the council and gave them a guarantee that the project would be done by the end of the year. I made a mistake during that time frame in not ensuring that the components necessary to complete the project were on hand. This year, I would like to report that as I ask for permission to refund this project, that the components necessary to complete the project are actually in hand with the vendor.
Yeah, I'd like to just make something very clear. We're not asking for a refund. We're asking council to reauthorize this project.
Correct.
The money's already on hand. There's no refunding or anything.
That's correct. This is a reauthorization of the project.
Right.
The funding is already within the budget. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Thought we're getting refunded on something? That's a change. Any questions or speaker cards? No? Thank you. Could I get a motion, please?
Move to authorize the completion of capital improvement project F4036, fire alarm control panels in the community center and library museum in the amount of $101,590 and approving any necessary budget transfers.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, it passes. Thank you for all this work. I know it sounds like we're just running through stuff, but it all is the result of a lot of work and figuring out what we need to progress. So we appreciate that a lot. So we're not doing the noise ordinance tonight, and that makes us move to our last item, which is council discussion direction to town manager. Any questions or no? And I'll take a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.